Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate showing up every Monday as usual. Typical routine here, just a brief recap of the game, give any potential injury updates, and then talk briefly about the next opponent and take questions. Just starting about wrapping up and watching the Nebraska game film. Again, typically after the game, feelings really are probably reinforced when you watch the video, and that's the same case now. Disappointed in the loss, very happy and pleased with our effort. Our plan going into that game was to make it a four-quarter game, and that's exactly what we did, but unfortunately we didn't make the plays that we needed to completely come out on the winning end. And that's what's disappointing. There were a lot of plays there that were out there for us to potentially make or prevent them from making, and we didn't get that done. It was very Washington-like when we compare the games. In both games we started out fast, and then we failed to sustain offensive drives the rest of the game. Defensively we played well, but in both of those games we had lapses in the third quarter where they were able to run the ball in both of those games. And both of those games obviously gave up a big return in the special teams phase of it that led to points on the board. So there were a lot of similarities. The good part of both of those games, though, just like the negatives, again, I was very happy about our effort, our togetherness, our toughness, going on the road in that environment and really not flinching when we started the game and some negative things came up throughout the game. I thought we handled adversity exceptionally well, and to take as many young players as we did into that environment, and for them to be able to, and not just young players, but new players with us into that environment, and then be able to handle themselves like they did, it makes us have some positive thoughts on the future moving forward. But again, any way you cut it, it's a disappointing loss. But our focus is building on the positives that we can take out of it, and continue to work forward and try to improve in the areas that we're struggling at to completely finish a game and play four quarters. Just a quick injury update. As most of you know, Blesson Austin came out of that game. It was confirmed yesterday with MRI that he has a torn ACL and will miss the rest of the season. A blow for our team, but opportunity for Damon Hayes to step up and be the full-time starter. He played in place of Blesson and did some good things. Got to continue to improve and develop, but really like Damon, and excited for him to go out and have this opportunity to be a full-time starter. Moving on just to the next opponent, another opportunity to play a Big Ten team. Got a good one coming to town Saturday night. Looking forward to a Saturday night game here. When you get a team like Ohio State coming into town, I'm hoping that it'll be an outstanding environment. A lot of people are going to want to come and watch Big Ten football, and opportunity for us to go out and play a common opponent from last year, and again measure improvement that we've made from last year to this year, and again just constantly striving to go out and play the best that we can play. But it's a good football team, a lot of experience, a lot of talent, playing very well here the last few weeks. I know they had the hiccup with Oklahoma, but looks like they're back rolling and playing at a high level right now. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up for questions.
Coach, when you talk about late in the game, second half, not being able to make the plays that you need to make, not being able to sustain drives on offense, come up with stops on defense, how much of that is depth? How much of that is youth? Is it a mix of that and other factors? To what do you attribute that?
There's a lot of it, and it's not just second half. I mean, when we talk about starting fast offensively, we're able to do that in both games. We have some drive killers. We have some mistakes that are made. Speaking offensively right now, when you look at the game, we go down and we score on the opening drive. The second drive, I believe it was, we have an errant snap on 3rd and 2 in a critical situation. And then the next drives, we have two false starts, and we're our own worst enemy right now on offense in those situations, in games against some really good opponents. And we can't do that. We can't have those self-inflicted mistakes that we continue to have that doesn't allow us to sustain drives and create momentum that we want and need as we move forward. Defensively, you mentioned the lack of depth. That's probably the one thing that is a glaring issue. in the second half of games. In both the Washington game and in the Nebraska game, when I felt like we did wear down a little bit, it was really the latter part of the third quarter that happened in both games. But in the Nebraska game, after you watch the film, it wasn't so much wearing down as it was more of the self-inflicted issues like I just mentioned offensively. On the 97-yard touchdown drive, 3 third downs, we had penalties that extended the drives. Hands to the face, we had a holding, and then at the end, we had a personal foul where Kai Hester hit the guy, after the incomplete pass. So we hurt ourselves, and we kept extending that drive. And again, when I mentioned the other day, more games are lost than won. We lost that game because of some mistakes like that, and you just can't do that, in this league and where we're at right now, and expect to win football games. So we've got to get that fixed. We've got to get that cleaned up, and it's really in all 3 phases.
Chris, you mentioned the defense and depth, specifically at cornerback with Bless now. Just how much concern is there about the depth at that position?
It's a concern. There's no doubt about it. It's been a concern. We felt like going into the year that if we could stay healthy like we did last year, that we would be fine. If we got an injury, we're on pretty thin ice, and that's where we're at. I still believe Isaiah and Damon Hayes are outstanding corners and can play winning football, but we're on thin ice. We've got to look at who our backup guys are going to be. We had Zane Campbell at corner earlier in the year. We'll move him back. We'll look also at Edwin Lopez, a true freshman, and Kobe Marfo has been taking some reps. So between those 3 guys, we're going to have to find our depth out of those 3 guys at the corner position.
Coach, you just mentioned those 3 guys. Is it the same idea when you go into sub packages where Damon was the 3rd guy, and now I guess you'll look at these younger guys?
No, we're going to put the best 11 players that we can on the football field. Sub packages are great, but if they're not your best 11 players, there's no use doing it. So we have to, we're doing those things today. Talking about personnel is typically what we do on Mondays. Coming out of the game, where you at from an injury standpoint? How does it impact not only your first team, but what you do in certain situations with sub packages, and you mix and match to get what you need to have your best available players out on the field. So, if we don't feel like we can get into a certain type of sub package on 3rd down situations, we're not going to do it just to say we can do it. We got to make sure that the players that go on the field are ones that give us a chance to be successful, and we're having those conversations, on Mondays all the time.
As far as the kicking game, it seems like Martin and Anderson are coming along each week.
Yeah.
Has that been a surprise, and how much of a help has it been to you guys?
No, it hasn't been a surprise, and that's what we saw in training camp. That's what we expected when we signed them and they agreed to come here. We expected them to be, good players, good punter, good kicker. We saw that in training camp, and Ryan was probably further ahead than Andrew during training camp. But as Andrew has gotten game reps and game experience, I think his confidence has grown, and he's gotten really good, and it has helped our special teams. Again, it gets back to Justin Davidowitz has helped our kickoff team. Ryan is starting to punt the ball better, and it's helping our punt team. Obviously we had the issue Saturday, but it wasn't the punting situation. And then Andrew's helping us with field goals. We're gaining confidence to go out there and try to kick the ball, from anywhere from the 25 to 30 yard line, feeling like we have an opportunity to put points on the board. And last year you guys know we were punting in those situations a lot. And at the beginning of the season, I probably would have thought about punting in those situations too, but now I'm starting to gain more confidence because of what we see out of Andrew. So it is helping the football team.
Chris, there have been a couple games, home and away, where you guys have had to burn a timeout because the play clock is running down in a key situation. Is there a common theme there? Has there been trouble getting a play in, or trouble?
No. It's all situational. Some of those you think we're burning a timeout, or we're some of them. We want more time to think about the situation or the call. The other day, for an example, it's 4th and 1. I took the timeout because we wanted to talk about the play that we were going to run. We wanted to continue to discuss going forward or punting it. When you got the timeouts to use, especially that late in the half, there's no use to let them sit there and waste them. But there's all kinds of things. There are some times where calls getting late, or players line up in the wrong formation, or something didn't come out clear in a signal that force you to use the timeout. You don't want to have to do that, but that happens. And there are some other times that maybe a call was made, and based on what the defense shows you, you're like, boy, this isn't a good call. Let's take a timeout and get this thing reset and reorganized. So, and then there's some, like I said, the situational calls that maybe we just need more time to think about what we're actually going to do. You don't want to waste a timeout, but the other day in the 4th and 1 situation, that wasn't wasting a timeout. I thought that was the right thing to do so we could really make sure we're on the same page. Obviously, we didn't get the 4th down conversion, but we had the timeouts and where we're at in that half, it was the right thing to do.
So obviously you're involved on the play call there, like 3rd, 4th, and 1.
Well, I'm involved in the decision to go. I make the ultimate decision whether we're going to go for it or not. I'm not getting involved in, hey, let's run this play or that play. I'm not the offensive coordinator. I'm not an offensive coach. So, no, I don't. I know when to get involved and when not to, and I'm not a guy that's going to get involved in calling offensive plays. It's just not what I do. So.
Chris, you talked about how Greg was helpful for you during that transitional period when you took the job. Greg Shannon, of course, this will be his first trip back here. I'm curious, have you maintained that relationship with him over the years? Are you still relying on him for advice? And do you have a deeper appreciation maybe after a second year of just what he was able to accomplish?
Well, I would still consider Greg and I to be friends and have a relationship. Obviously, when you get into the season, you don't get a chance to talk to people. Honestly, other than the people in this building and my wife, I don't talk to many people during the season. That's by design, a lot of times. But I do have, before I ever came to Rutgers, and even since I've been here, I've always had a great appreciation for what Greg did here at Rutgers and what he accomplished in the way that he built the program up. And having been here and listening to all the stories and really getting a good feel for this place, I do have a greater appreciation, but I've always had a pretty high appreciation of what he and his staff and players accomplished during his time here. I mean, it's remarkable what they were able to do, and that's honestly that's one of the reasons that I made the decision to come here, is because it's been done before, and it takes a lot of time, effort, and a lot of people to get it done, but hoping to be able to rebuild it and get it back to where it was during his time here.
Chris, any concern over Janarian's status for this Saturday?
As of right now, no.
Take
two more questions.
From a football standpoint, what stands out when you watch the Ohio State defense? Greg has talked about the defensive line being, better than any that he's ever coached. Are they aggressive? What stands out?
Well, I mean, at Ohio State, when you look at Ohio State over the years, there's one thing that's been pretty consistent, and it's been a pretty good defensive line. And this year is no different. They've got an outstanding defensive line. What makes them outstanding? It's the depth. They've always had high-level players. Players that are going to go on and be high draft picks or go to the NFL and obviously be great college players. But it's the depth that they have at the D line that makes it such a special defensive line unit. It's a strength of their football team by far. They've got a lot of good players on the football team, but as a unit, you talk about all the units of defensive line is definitely the strength. And they got size, they got explosiveness, and they've got depth, and they've got experience. So you put all those things together, it's a pretty good unit.
And then with regards to the national anthem protests across the NFL on Sunday, have you discussed that issue over the past year? Will you revisit it this week? And I guess a general philosophy, where do you stand on that with regards to how your team handles it?
Yeah, we are a team that goes and takes the field for the national anthem. If the coach has that, college has that choice, and last year we made that choice. That's what I've been around for a while and wanted to be able to do that. And we did have those conversations, last year. We're a program that we do respect to everybody's beliefs and opinions, and we are a team, and we want to act like a team. But we also, these guys are also people and humans, and they've got their own thoughts and beliefs, and we respect those. And we have not had any issues, with in regards to demonstrating, so to speak, during the national anthem. Don't anticipate any, but again, it's not something we have talked about it, but it's not something that we mandate that this. If you're going to be on this team, this is the way it's going to be. And again, because we do value everyone's differences and everyone's beliefs, and same thing with social media. We don't police that, so to speak, and regulate what they can and can't say, and so they have the freedom to do what they want to do.
Chris, just real quick, one thing I've gotten a lot already on Twitter right now instantaneously is Bless Austin.
But good for you. I mean,
Is
you
this
believe
is how
that?
it
See,
works
where's your
now.
Twitter at?
Exactly. Good question.
Do you expect, since it's the same time of year that Janarian got hurt, do you expect Bless will be able to get a medical redshirt?
I don't know that. It's not the same. I mean, it's the same type of, or the same game, but you know, Janarian's happened in the first half, you know, last year, and that was really the difference maker. But you know, we haven't even gone to that conversation yet. We will, but we haven't yet.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. Thank you, guys.